This is more about the people in the class that don't consistently train, being able to go for some repeated rounds with people that know what they're doing. When you're both in the class, there becomes that alpha mentality, like I have to win. When I bring people in from the outside that do this all the time, they don't have that same mentality. They're just there to have fun and train. And they will absolutely at times show you, and then other times they feel you're struggling, they'll help you and say, hey, don't do this, or this is what you should have done. But this should be an eye-opener as to, wow, this person's smaller than me. I can't really control them. They're controlling me. They're not tired. I am. You know, that's kind of where this leads to you to realize that the only difference between the two of you is they train and you don't train that much, right? So that's the real difference. Here's the thing. If I'm in an arm bar on my back and Jerry's arm locking me and there's a lot of commotion going on around me and the person can't see my other arm and I'm tapping the mat over here, he's not even going to know that. So you should be tapping the person if you can reach them and verbally saying tap, okay? They will let go immediately upon that. If someone doesn't, they never come back again. We're not here to hurt anybody. It's more about learning positional control, distance management, being in bad positions and learning to survive in them, realizing the level of control someone can have, okay? That's kind of what this is about, and not necessarily, hey, I want to win every round. All right, so I'm gonna end up, there's probably about 6 or 7 in the class that are pretty well-rounded. One's a very high-level grappler, 2-time Abu Dhabi gold medalist. So this day is about showing the ones that don't train how much someone can control them, stay composed, stay calm, not even really hurt them, but just use their skill to keep the person, you know, controlled. And it's usually a big eye-opener for them. They're like, wow, I wouldn't have expected that they could have done that to me. And oftentimes they'll be much bigger than you and they'll be like, wow, how is this person doing this, right? So, and a lot of times when people leave the class, they go off to train after that because of this, basically this part of the class, this day. Because up until now, they feel pressure from each other and a few people in the class train, but when they go against all trained people, they start to realize that's the only real difference between us is they know and I don't, okay? So that's what our goal is, the whole class, is to get people to train consistently over time. On the mats, when you're rolling, don't be attacking below the waist. You know, we're not heel hooking people and all that kind of stuff, okay? We're here to positional control. If you can teach them one thing, the value of positional control. We're gonna start on the floor. They've already done a bunch of takedowns and stuff like that, fighting off the wall. They've done that extensively, but if we have everybody on their feet, wrestling for position, someone's gonna get hurt, okay? Today's about being on the ground and positional control, stuff like that. You should be the reason they wanna continue to train, not the reason they never wanna do this again. Sometimes people will ask, like, why do we do this, okay? So some people say, oh, we're just rolling. Okay, yeah, well, what does that teach you? It teaches you someone that's coming after you and grabbing you certain ways, grabbing your wrist, grabbing your head, trying to control your body, trying to keep you on your back, trying to get around your legs. They're trying to manipulate you into the position that they want you in so that you can't control them, right? So that matters in our job, right? There's managing distance, there's positional control, there's staying calm under pressure, there's understanding your limits. And when you go with enough people and different body styles, you start to realize, like, oh, that person gave me a hard time. And then someday, if you go to grab somebody for real and you feel that initial energy from the person, that first 5-6 seconds of energy, you're almost like, yeah, I'm okay, or uh-oh. All right, and that only comes from being on the mat and training all the time, okay? Well, one of my instructors and friends, Matt Larson, talks about this. He's an instructor at West Point, and he was the person that created the Army Combatives program, and he'll tell you that the Army does combatives and the military does combatives not because wars are won with hand-to-hand combat, but because wars are won with the mentality created through people that go through hard things together. The other thing that we have found with jiu-jitsu training in particular is that when you slap and bump and start to grapple with someone, your mind can literally only focus on that. And that process and the endorphins that are released during that process, I think, leave you in a better place when you leave the mat.